A topic I've been rather interested in lately is identity. How do we identify ourselves? How do we define our lives? Many people would argue that our actions are ultimately what make us who we are. If this is truly the case, then the question, "What do I have?" is a pretty good metric to gauge one's worth. In the gripping narrative of Jedi Fallen Order, we were introduced to Cal Kestis, a young Jedi survivor left traumatized by the indelible scars of Order 66. Pursued relentlessly by the sinister remnants of that dark decree, Cal embarked on a treacherous odyssey to reclaim his shattered identity and restore what had been mercilessly stolen from him. As he navigated the harrowing path of revival, Cal's journey highlighted the delicate balance between gains and losses, showcasing how the latter often serves as the crucible for the former. Each arduous step forward, laden with the weight of an oppressive past, offered Cal, Cere, Merrin, and even the fallen Trilla the opportunity to piece together the fragments of their fractured lives, allowing them to forge a beacon of hope amidst the depths of despair. Despite insurmountable odds, Cal managed to find inner peace, Cere forgiveness, Merrin a new family, and Trilla a sense of redemption before the end. Through their collective resilience, the galaxy bore witness to the triumphant emergence of Cal Kestis, Jedi Knight, an embodiment of courage and the indomitable spirit that can rise from the ashes of adversity. Life, then, can be defined by an ever-growing list of gains and losses, each given value by their antithesis. It is within this context that the haunting brilliance of Jedi Survivor emerges, at its core defined by the chilling prominence of loss. Jedi Survivor's opening level serves to remind us exactly what Cal has lost. An order, a way of life, a home, with the Jedi Temple itself now serving as the Imperial Palace. But through that loss, he's gained much. A new path, loyal friends, and power enough to slay the Nightsister. On my first attempt, I might add. Even this victory, though, has a steep price, costing Cal the lives of each of his latest companions, save Bode Akuna. Bode too is driven by loss, specifically the fear of losing his daughter Kata, a young girl he admits he'd do anything to protect. But let's put a pin in that discussion for now, because currently, his presence in the story highlights something more immediately important: the absence of the Mantis crew. Without their guiding presence and unwavering support these past few years, Cal has been forced to continue their fight against the seemingly endless Empire alone. This relentless struggle has slowly chipped away at his restraint, leaving him well acquainted with seething anger while lacking in self-control. Without a sincere purpose guiding his efforts with Saw Gerrera's crew, Cal now finds himself holding the line not as a Jedi, but as a mere soldier, as someone fighting for the sake of fighting and not much else. As the Mantis crash lands on the outer rim planet of Kobo, then, what Cal needs far more than any repairs is a poignant reminder of what truly matters.
Everything I'm doing feels pointless. The Empire's only growing stronger.
Look, I wish things were different, but you keep losing people. And you yourself said that the Empire's growing stronger every day. Now maybe it's time for you to be something more than a lightsaber. Think about yourself. Settle down, find a home.
Cal mostly brushes the thought aside at first, but what if he could stop fighting and escape his building anger? What if he could settle down, marry Merrin, and have a good, peaceful life? And what if there were, say, a High Republic droid under Greez's cantina that could lead him to a hidden planet that the Empire supposedly couldn't find, where such thoughts, such dreams, could actually become a reality? At that point, all he'd be missing is Spawn of Ogdo's poncho. It's when these hypotheticals become possible that Cal really begins to ponder the notion of pursuing them. And once reunited with Bode, that's exactly what they do. They set off to uncover the key to reaching this hidden planet of Tanalorr, a place where they and their loved ones could actually be safe from the Empire. However, this key they seek provides them anything but security. Dagan Gera, a renowned Jedi Knight from the High Republic era, serves as both the key to Tanalorr and Jedi Survivor's primary antagonist. Way back when, it was he who discovered Tanalorr and constructed upon its surface a Jedi temple, alongside his fellow Jedi and dear friend Centauri Kree. He planned to use it as a beacon for the Jedi Order in the Outer Rim, but clearly, given his imprisoned state and lack of a right arm, this didn't pan out. After the Nihil somehow made it to Tanalorr and attacked his temple, the Council ordered Dagan to retreat from the system and effectively abandon his life's work in the process. Already prone to ego, Dagan became enraged by the Council's desire to forsake his life's work, even more so by their expectation for him to abandon his dream. In a last-ditch effort to see his goals realized, whatever they may have been at this point, he betrayed the Order. He traded his way of life, his family, and his closest friend for the desperate dream of Tanalorr, leading to a heartbreaking confrontation with Centauri Kree, whom he clearly loved.
Such despair, Centauri. Tanalorr. You can feel it slipping away.
My despair is for you. Tanalorr has changed you.
It's changed you as well. Centauri.
In Dagan's mind, he's lost his dream, his life, and I'd wager his love to the Jedi Order, and it's these losses that he allows to define him. Heck, he even tries to reprogram Z to serve him solely because that droid once served Centauri. This deep, lingering pain only strengthens his obsession with Tanalorr, as he'll now stop at nothing to return to his paradise planet. It's natural to feel anger after experiencing the pain of loss, but Dagan allowed his ego to stoke this anger until it, and by extension his dreams for Tanalorr, consumed him, turning a once bright soul red with rage. But Dagan's ego is not quite the invincible force his excruciatingly difficult boss fight would have you believe. Beneath the layers of ego and rage lies a vulnerable core: fear. Deep down, Dagan is afraid he was never deserving of Centauri's belief in him. The thought of her seeing him for who he truly is terrifies him, as he dreads the idea of her abandoning all hope for his soul. This fear becomes even more profound when considering that her hope for his redemption was the sole reason he was placed in the back of the tank to begin with. A desperate attempt by Centauri to salvage his fractured soul. The harrowing realization that his actions, not the relentless march of time, may have cost him Centauri's faith and love for good, propels Dagan further into darkness. It fuels his destructive actions and blinds him to the path of redemption, ultimately costing Dagan his life. As Dagan's tragic story unfolds, a chilling reflection of what Cal Kestis could become begins to emerge. The echoes of their intertwined fates reverberate through the corridors of time, presenting a stark juxtaposition of destinies. Dagan, once a beacon of light not unlike Cal, succumbed to the siren song of Tanalorr, allowing it to consume him entirely, leaving nothing but a husk of rage and fear in its wake. If Cal isn't careful, if he allows the allure of life on Tanalorr to overpower his sense of self, he risks following the treacherous path that Dagan has laid bare. The ghostly visage of this now vanquished foe serves as a haunting reminder of the perils that await should Cal's unwavering dedication lead him to trade his invaluable connections to those around him for the anger still building within. As Merrin so eloquently puts it.
Look into the fire. It will warm you, keep you company on dark, lonesome nights, yes? But left unchecked, it will consume everything in its path, until there is only ash.
And speaking of Merrin, Cal's newfound focus on his own desires paves the way for a significant admission to his fellow survivor, as his long-held feelings for her finally find their voice.
Look, the order's gone. I know what I want now.
Took you long enough.
But even Merrin's love is not a sufficient antidote for Cal's continued struggle. To quench such a vice, what Cal truly needs is the counsel of one more experienced than himself. Cere Junda, a powerful Jedi Master in her prime, was once faced with the horrors of Order 66, not unlike Cal. But while Cal's struggles were defined by the sacrifice of his master, Cere's story was shaped by her failure to do the same. Captured alive by the Empire, Cere endured excruciating tortures at the hands of Darth Vader himself. In her agony, she revealed the location of not only her Padawan Trilla Seduri, but also the younglings whom the poor girl had sworn to protect. Betrayed by her master and forced to witness the merciless slaughter of children, Trilla was easily seduced to the dark side, a sight that shook Cere to her core.
No!
Much like the franchise-defining Jedi Luke Skywalker, this greatest of failures led Cere to sever her connection to the Force as she reveled in guilt for years.
And all I wanted to do was die.
However, the survival of their order eventually demanded she take up arms once more, not simply to fight the Empire's darkness, but to atone for her own.
I know the darkness that is eating you up inside, and every day we choose to either feed it or fight it. And I have failed you, Trilla. I failed you. And I am so very sorry.
Cere Junda, now redeemed and in her prime once more, has dedicated herself to aiding other Force sensitives in need of hiding and protection from the Empire. Her zeal and passion in their increasingly hopeless fight are precisely what Cal needs to learn. And initially he begins to, realizing that his desire of retiring on Tanalorr is selfish. Instead, he offers the planet to Cere's organization, the Hidden Path, and resolves to help them in their selfless mission. However, for Bode Akuna, this implies that his daughter would be in danger when they eventually reach Tanalorr. And so, before Cere's wisdom can finally help Cal realign himself, Bode betrays them all to the Empire. Once more, Cere faces off against Darth Vader, the catalyst of her past failures. In previous encounters, Cere would have succumbed to her fear and hatred toward the man. But now, as she prepares for the most important fight of her life, she knows that her failures do not define her. Her fear, her anger, and the sins born of them are not what makes Cere the woman confronting the Dark Lord so fearlessly. It's her compassion, her selflessness, and a firm understanding that she is only what she makes of herself right now. But even that isn't enough to stop Darth Vader from defeating her. As she falls to the ground in time cradled by Cal, the last word she utters to her surrogate Padawan is Trilla. Even now, with her last breath, she only thinks of others, desperately urging Cal not to forget what you become, but letting rage, tragedy, and loss define you. But the weight of this loss and the sting of Bode's betrayal have left Cal broken, consumed by an anger of once unfathomable strength. His dream of reaching Tanalorr, once representing a hopeful future, has become a symbol of his pain and a catalyst for his descent. Betrayed by someone he held dear, robbed of his trust and a cherished connection, Cal now finds himself standing in the eerily familiar footsteps of Dagan Gera. And much like his vanquished enemy of the past, Cal, at long last, embraces the rage brewing within him. Cutting his way through the opposition, Cal carves a path of destruction through Imperial ranks, his every movement a symphony of vengeance. With every fallen enemy, the weight of his rage grows, a tempest that works to consume his very being. In this maelstrom of unchecked fury, Cal becomes a force of primal destruction, a storm that leaves no one standing in its wake. It's a sight both fearsome and awe-inspiring, as the player too is gripped by the intoxicating Spartan-like power of Cal's rage. Amidst the ensuing chaos, Cal's eyes fixate upon ISB officer Denvik, the man who orchestrated Bode's treachery. Such a transgression Cal deems worthy of death, a fate he nearly delivers upon the man himself. yet Cal remains unable to deal the final blow, despite the immense desire pulsating within him to do just that. For the sight of Cal yielding to the darkness, forever losing himself to it, would inflict a deeper pain upon our beloved Merrin than Cal could ever fathom, as the pain of a loved one is far worse than any other. And as fate would have it, Bode Akuna, all too familiar with the anguish of a loved one, knows this truth well. Bode, too, shockingly enough, is a Jedi survivor of Order 66, making them brothers in tragedy. But while Cal found the courage to continue the fight, Bode sought a different path. Against all odds, Bode managed to build a new life for himself, finding solace in the arms of an incredible woman and their enchanting daughter, Kata. For a time, he lived Cal's initial dream of a peaceful life, but this life was not on Tanalorr. It was not free of the Empire. Inevitably, the Inquisitors tracked him down and murdered his wife, who sacrificed herself so that Bode and Kata could escape. It was that day Bode came to a dark conclusion, that the only way to prevent further loss is to take from others instead. This revelation has since shaped every decision he's made, leading him down a path of subservience to the ISB, a bleak choice made in the name of survival. Perhaps in another time, Cal would have empathized with his friend's unfortunate situation, but now, after everything he's been through, after everything he's lost, Cal can see right through Bode's selfless facade. He recognizes that Bode's actions are not driven by genuine concern for Kata, but by his fear of living with the sorrow her suffering would bring. And Cal too experiences that very fear for Merrin, subconsciously deepening his understanding of Bode's ultimately selfish motivation. Nevertheless, as they finally arrive on Tanalorr, Cal, for Kata's sake, does offer to make peace with Bode, a gesture that Bode, consumed by the fear of loss, adamantly refuses. But this failure to right his wrongs does not paint Bode as a heartless villain, at least not entirely. There are plenty of moments when his care for those around him becomes evident, even amidst his betrayal. At the end of the day, he's willing to fight Cal to the death for his daughter's sake, sure, but that didn't stop him from giving Cal a blaster to serve as his last line of defense, an act of kindness that, in the end, cost Bode his life, Kata her father, and Cal a brother. As Cal pulls the trigger, ending Bode's life with the very blaster Bode once gifted to him, the full weight of their shared past is felt. It is a poignant and devastating moment, underscoring the tragic irony of their bond. The blaster, once a symbol of protection and trust, now represents their shattered brotherhood and the high cost of succumbing to the fear of loss. Life is filled with tragedy. Every day now it feels like there's something horrible in the news, and it seems as though the flag flies at half-mast far more often than full. While I'm not here to offer solutions to these problems, I can offer advice on a more personal level. If we define ourselves solely by our losses and succumb to the fear of repeating them, we deny ourselves of the opportunity to grow. Remaining trapped in this cycle of fear and despair will only perpetuate a sense of stagnation, gradually eroding our sense of self and our hope for a better future. But we don't have to be confined by the clutches of loss. Instead, let's embrace the lessons it offers. By doing so, we can break ourselves free of this stagnation, opening ourselves up to the possibility of finding happiness and fulfillment once more. So if there's one thing you take away from this video, remember this. If we don't learn from our losses, if we fail to escape their grip, we deprive ourselves of the chance to truly live. As Jedi Survivor draws to a close, Cal finds himself at this very crossroads. Despite the tragedies inflicted upon the Mantis crew, they are now in a position to make significant, positive change in the galaxy. They've made it to Tanalorr. They can set up a new base for the Hidden Path, and they can continue their fight against the Empire with this renewed purpose. And yet, Cal is afraid. He knows he is losing himself to his rage, the force of loss. Where he will go from here remains unknown, but his inner turmoil does highlight one vitally important truth he'd do well to remember. The greatest loss lies not in the tragedies we endure, but in our reluctance to learn from them.